Welcome back to the Insiders. As promised, we are bringing you fresh reviews on The Stab in the Dark with Kelly Slater. Episode 2 is out and live, and we are talking about it. Here we go. So, what do you think, Daz?
Oh, I thought a lot of things. It's been a massive week, Matty. Maybe towards the end of this episode, we could talk about some of the other news. What do you think? Or do you want to keep it clean?
Well, I reckon keep it clean. Keep it clean, keep it lean. We can bring the other stuff. We can bash out more episodes. Everyone is loving it. So, I
May,
reckon
may
we
as well
keep
talk
this
about Kelly while he's fresh in our mind, correct?
exactly.
Okay, incredible episode for me. Spoiler alert, if you don't have premium and you haven't watched this, either way, by the time you listen to this, hopefully you've had a chance to watch it. I'll have to get the authority off my managing director Matty Hayes on when he wants to drop the episode on this one. But for me, it was absolutely incredible episode. I would have liked to see him surf a few more boards, but I think that's just a case of it's never enough. Kelly, even for myself, who's his age and who's fed off his content for a good 35 years now. And he can be incredibly annoying, but he never ceases to amaze me.
I think it's obvious why there wasn't more surfing because from what it seems like they're setting up, they had a very, very short window and he probably got through quite a lot of boards quite quickly. And they more than likely could probably do a whole episode within 40 minutes and get top to bottom done. But they obviously dropping these every 2 weeks with a reason of more people watching, more content, more excitement. But I definitely agree. I made a few little like notes from watching it. Um, one of them from the first episode to the second episode, it's probably the only like negative thing I gotta say is episode one. I was like, holy shit, Kelly surfing really good. Episode two, I kind of was like, surfing was like, so obviously it's really good. It's Kelly, but it was a bit like, I don't know, like it was a little bit flat. The
I, I'm going to have to disagree with you on that one, Matty. I was jumping out of my skin, honestly thinking how good this guy surfs for 53 years old. He would have just turned 53. I think he's a year younger than me. He's actually 6 months younger than me. So maybe he's just turned 54. Yeah, he's just turned 54. He's 6 months younger than me. The guy, like I know where you're coming from because you're a massive you've got a massive appetite for surf content, and most probably you've been watching some really good content lately. But those waves were quite marginal. I was waiting for you to have a big slag off then about him, which might come yet, jumping off the jet ski for his first wave, basically, of board testing. But I'm just going to quickly mention that that little stretch of water there, Matty, is one of the sharkiest stretches of water in Australia, and therefore we could even then say the world.
yeah,
Hence, no one there. And if he was there, yeah, I just don't think he'd go there free surfing by himself and paddle out there. Like I'd want to get back on the jetty all the time, especially given the current environment in Australia. Even though this was last year, which would have been pretty well similar.
yeah. I wasn't gonna slag the step offs off actually. I was actually gonna say about how jealous I am of I've only normally you see step offs when it's like huge and people are trying to make like really fast barrels like in France and like cyclone seasons in Kira and places like that. When he was doing step offs in kind of like normal waves as such, and I was kind of like, I'm a bit jealous. Like, imagine not having to like you literally just don't have to paddle and you just step off, surf the wave, get picked up. Like that'd be pretty sick.
That goes back to what you just mentioned before. I think Kelly gave him a really limited window of his time.
Yeah,
So basically, they had to smash it all out as fast as they could. Well, not
yeah.
as fast as they could, as much as he would give them, which is another reason why I think that the first episode was all shapers and not him. Now, as much as those waves, I don't think were what you would call insane waves. They did, in retrospect, and I was retrospecting while I was watching it. They were really, really good waves for what you would say board testing, because there was
Yeah.
opportunities, but it wasn't going off, which kind
And it wasn't
of
perfect as
yeah,
well.
which lends itself to every board.
Yeah, yeah, completely agree. And I also think it also made it a bit more um relatable as normal. Like if it was just perfect behind the rock, snapper, not a drop of water out of the place, you'd kind of be like there would be rumors and rumblings of people going, well, any board's going to be going good in perfect waves. Like in the best surfer of all time in a perfect wave, oh, any board will go good. He could ride a door. So I do think that the imperfection of the wave is actually a really good inclusion on the board testing and obviously seeing how Kelly handles it as well.
I thought it was. I thought what was great was he actually did bring that up at one stage because the waves were marginal even at Snapper Rock, and he said both boards went out more or less in the same conditions. Maybe one went out as the tide dropped a little bit more. Now, just so you understand that, Matty, if the tide drops on conditions like that at Snapper, basically sucking it out off the bank instead of
Yeah.
coming in on the bank. Well, that side from that's kind of what I thought. Um, I tell you what I did notice, and I mentioned this to me good mate Bradley, who knows DH very well. I wouldn't be surprised if John Bizel was out for a drink, didn't just turn around and lay him a left or right hook on the chin.
I don't know. I think he likes to kind of wind him. It seems like he likes to wind it up, but I think like I love the bit where he said something about like, oh, if you didn't shape for John, and he just goes, but I do. Like, and I just
Oh,
absolutely love that bit.
I didn't hear the but I do.
Yeah, he just go Paizo just goes, but I do. And to be fair, like DH, I'm surprised Paizo doesn't bite back a little bit more. Like DH shapes for Mick, DH shapes like for Steph. Like you know, he's had his own versions of John in similar ways. Obviously,
Oh
John John's
no,
different.
it's a little bit different. DH has always had a really big team, but DH was in like one of the epicenters of the world. You could say the North Shore's an epicenter as well,
Well, you
but
would definitely, yeah,
there's now, it was an epicenter of big wave performance surfing, but it didn't have that same commercial aspect as what the Gold Coast, Kira, Snapper, and all that have had for the last 20 years with Japanese
yeah.
tourists,
But I'm surprised.
everyone in the world.
I'm surprised he doesn't get more shit about the size of his team because, like, where like just as a reply back to, oh, you shape for John John, yeah, he shapes for one person. You like they could go back to him and say, yeah, but you've had to try and find blah 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 by shaping for this person, 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 like, and but Paizo just laughs it off and is amazing, really, with how he
Well,
handled it.
listen to this, Matt, just to get an inside angle from a shaper I know. I won't mention his name. Um, uh, wait a second. Uh, where are we? Where are we? DH DH said that the ghost was his model. I've heard most shapers say he's not that good. We're talking about Pizel here. And I said to him, look, man, that's because most shapers, like most people, are insecure. I've seen them when it comes to people riding their boards and jealous of John. And he's like, yeah. And okay, this is Christian saying this, but I do believe those boards that he puts volume forward are not good. The balance is not good. And
Yeah,
I
but that's
sent
just
him,
wrong. Like, I
listen,
think I think that's ridiculous.
wait. I sent him a link of of John surfing not long ago at Log Cabins. And but here's a really, really, really good point where he says people need to understand that anyone can fine tune a board to anyone. Pros I'm talking about, and people that watch this just get sucked in because they do. It's marketing. People get sucked in to the marketing with machines and stuff like this. I'm talking about a top level shaper. The guy can come in and say, like, this is my board, do that, and they will. But the pro that wants to go in, they want 10 boards for free, and that they're not going to get. So that's why they
But
go back to the people
there's
that give them the boards.
there's nothing more ugly and off-putting to me than a shaper, and I'll say like Christian, slagging off another shaper's board, right? Because there's no right or wrong. Like, how many people would have slagged off what Simon Anderson done, and now look at where it's moved to? How many people would have slagged off what MR done? Now look where it's moved to, and they're judging it like they're judging it on incorrect things that judging. Like, plus nearly 90% of shapers that I've ever known, if you pull out a different brand's board, they'll just tear it apart, like as if every single one of their boards are perfect. And it's absolutely not true. And to be honest, I just think to me, it's really, really off-putting because, like, you should be able to say, and this episode does show it, you should be able to say, oh, that's made really nicely. Oh, I like what he's done there. Well, I haven't seen that before, but that's quite interesting. Rather than going, oh, that's bad. This is bad. Nothing's bad. Like, because not one surfboard is meant to be the same as another. And, even for Kelly Slater, there's six boards there made by the six best shapers in the world, like for high performance surfing. And all of them are different. One of them's decided to put a wing on it. One of them's decided to put a swallowtail on it. One of them's got single concave. One of them's got deep double concave, different fin angles. So I honestly don't care how good you are as a shaper. I don't think you can say something's good or bad on that level.
I'll tell you what I thought was good. He only picked 2 out of 6, which was interesting. Not surprised whatsoever. They're all so similar. I also really liked him saying he'd rather kind of not know who it
Yeah.
was. And two, geez, he comes across good. Marcio Zuvi, sharp
Marcia
eye.
Zuvi.
He's just unreal,
So
in my
classy.
opinion. Okay, exactly. Same for me.
So I
Humble,
think what you've just said
interesting,
there,
humble.
what you've just said there about like the shaper messaging you saying this is bad, this is blah blah blah.
No, I
But
asked him, Matt.
yeah,
That's what you jumped on your high horse. Step back a sec. I asked him. He said
no, because he's
a lot of shapers say this about Pizell, and it's true. And a lot of people look at DH. He said about him during the episode because they get jealous of John. Full stop. So they're not jealous of Pizell. They get jealous of John because they want access to it. Like people back in the day used to get really jealous, myself included, of Channel Islands because I had this insane team. And I'm telling you, people would just want a Channel Islands, even if it was a good board or a bad board, because you get sucked into it.
but then getting sucked into slagging it off is just it's like saying someone's bad for doing something good. That's just bad. Like be happy for everyone else. Like, but
That's correct, man.
I think Marcio is the complete opposite of that. They try and bait him into
Yes,
things and
he's
he
unreal.
Teflon and he handles it so classily and he doesn't say a bad thing about anybody. And that's the best way. I was like, do you know what? You've come across amazingly well here.
And DH came across as not, and now he was being sarcastic. We've talked about this with other people recently as well. You can be sarcastic, and I learned this lesson myself as well during work. Uh, maybe 18, 19 years ago, that I worked with a guy from Sydney, and where I grew up, we were just so hard sarcastic. Like that was hard school 80s style in Brisbane was slagging people off, and it was, it was supposed to build character. But then he said to me, "Fuck, mate, like I don't want to hear it," and I just felt so bad, thinking that's right. Uh,
Yeah,
and and I'll put forward, maybe we can put it on our story if you're cool with it. This speech from this basketball coach that I saw the other day, talking to a whole bunch of kids that he's training, saying when anyone ever says something negative about you, it's not about you, it's about them.
I've seen it. He said, "Who's got?" He says, "Who's got the problem?"
It's so good, isn't it?
It's really good, and that's what I think about it. And I think Marcio comes across so well. And I do think that DH crossed the line of, have a joke, sarcastically have a joke, say it once, and then keep saying it, keep saying it, keep saying it, and you're like, you actually really mean this. You're just putting a sarcastic twist on it, maybe because you're not brave enough to say it completely straight either. I don't know. But the funny thing is, the best part of the episode
Oh,
is
it's just heavy, isn't it?
is DH literally basically ripping a hand grenade and sitting on it and just blowing himself up. And
Is was that not a little bit hard to watch? It was a little bit cringy, wasn't it, the poor? Like it was so easy to feel sorry for him.
I thought it was amazing to watch after how aggressive he'd come
Confident.
across in the other thing.
Yeah.
It was almost like karma. And it also was quite amazing to watch how he starts really aggressive and then he realizes he could be on my board. So he starts to say, let's hope he's not on my board, but make a bit of a joke about it to start to put that protection on himself. And then when he sees it's his board, it looks like he's just been given the best slice of cake ever, and a bird's just swooped down and taken it from him, and he's gutted.
Yeah, but
Um,
he's actually and I think he's also a nice guy, and
yeah, of course.
it's just part culturally where you want to have a dig at people, and and maybe of all of them, he also was the one that seemed the most invested in it immediately. He was just like, man, this is the chance.
Yeah,
This is
I
the
think
chance.
so.
So you can imagine, oh, like no matter if you were really humble or what at the start and said nothing and tried to be the most humble dude. If that after happened to your board, like you just got to be gutted. Where
100%.
especially, but saying that he could have shaped something completely different, and Kelly may have completely ripped on it. So that's where you go to bed at night and go, oh, why didn't I do that? Like if you were in a card game
Yeah.
or if you're in an exam, like an academic exam, and you say, why did I answer that question like that? Because you think, oh, that's what the right answer was. You got the answer
Yeah.
wrong in your head. And you got the
Yeah, and
answer wrong.
to be fair to him, he took a chance. Like he did do something different. He did put the wing in it. And like you said, he was really invested. He said he's spoken to Mick loads and all of this, and maybe he should have just gone with what his strengths are. He should have made a board for Kelly that Mick loves and see if that had worked rather than trying an experiment. But I guess he'll never know, and no one will ever know. But at least he gave it a crack.
It's
But
interesting he didn't surf the DH as a quad after he
I
surfed
thought that
the. Yeah, because the first session he surfed them
thruster,
both as thrusters. So
yeah,
I'm just not sure why the second he didn't surf them both as quads. Because maybe that one with the wing humps would have went better like that. Like interestingly enough, Simon Anderson, who used to come over every year, had this model called the three peat, which was a modern replica of his original thruster, and it was kind of a fatty squash tail with wings, similar to the Red Beauty. Uh, Even though does the Red Beauty have wings? Maybe not.
yeah, it
But the
does,
Red Beauty's got a big bump. But
yeah,
anyway, so he made a couple, and I actually got to surf the one he did for Geordie Smith, and it felt insane. And so I got him to order one for me to make one for me. And it was a round tail. I got him to put wings on it. And I tell you, it didn't have bite either. So immediately when Kelly mentioned that, it's funny that I immediately remembered that board,
Mm.
and I've never I've never really been a fan of wings since. But
Yeah.
especially here, it's really power orientated wave. Where I think on a smaller, maybe fatter wave, that they can be fun because it's just reducing the final tip of the tail area of your board. But Kelly didn't like it. It's for sure, and you could tell when he was surfing. It wasn't just like him
Yeah.
being a prima donna, was it?
No, definitely not. And you can definitely tell because I always thought, like, pretty similar to what you just said. I've always thought that that wing and that hip is also there to kind of break the rail line to loosen the tail up as well. And I thought that was a bit contradictory when they're saying, "Oh, Kelly's not going to surf in bad waves. Like it's going to be like good waves." So I kind of was a little bit like, "Why would you want to break that with it there?" But then obviously, like then again, Kelly on the Cymatic, Kelly on the other like the Great White Twin that he's got, and all of his other boards that he's made with Firewire, they have double hip, batwing tails, and everything else that you could probably add. So I can understand why he also took a little bit of a punt with it because Kelly does like he's known to like a little bit something a little bit odd, but obviously it just didn't pay off. But it would have been bad anyway to see his board get written off like as it is. But the fact that he sat there and essentially commentated on the board not being great, and then
On one of on one of his home spots.
yeah, like I don't think it's going to affect. Like obviously, like I don't think people are now going to be like DH is a bad shaper or DH
No, it's
can't do.
just it's just luck of the draw, and on top of that, most probably in 2 weeks' time, in the next episode, we're going to see completely different conditions for the
Yeah,
next two boards, and you're going to be thinking, and obviously DH is going to be thinking, why couldn't I get my board in those conditions?
yeah.
But
I
then
had all,
maybe it would have been a similar outcome. Who knows? And we won't know until the end of the series.
yeah. I also I did pick up on something that I didn't know if you would have picked up on or not. But obviously, Kelly didn't really write the board off. He just was saying
Oh, it's very diplomatic. It was
very, very.
fantastic.
Do you think that's because he has no idea which one's a firewire? So if imagine he goes, this board is absolutely terrible, and then it just flashes up, Dan Mann been eliminated. Like there's so like
That's a really good point, Matt. That could be. I think it's also more honestly, I think it's more along the lines of the fact that he has had so many boards from so many people over so many years, and he's so passionate about surfboards that that's something I think that he holds so close to his heart that he's
yeah,
just not gonna slag on it. Like I'd like to think that anyway, because like even TH is there. It's a hard game
for sure.
shaping for these guys, and them coming back and saying it's a dog, which they do, like Geordie would have. But there's a big difference between Geordie and Kelly.
Yeah.
Geordie's most probably he's a lot more of a straight talker, and also he's a lot younger. Like 15 years' time, Geordie, similar age to Kelly, you'll probably hear a completely different rhetoric from him.
Yeah, completely agree. I think that's a really fair point. And I also would add as well that it seems like Kelly probably surfed the board twice for half hour a session. And although you can obviously, like, you can have thoughts about a board, there's boards that you've ridden, that I've ridden. No doubt there's boards Kelly's ridden where he's been like after one or two sessions been like, "Phew, this is a bit weird." And then 5 sessions in, 6 sessions in different waves, like he says about that Isabella Nichols changing the fins and stuff, suddenly it's a magic board. So I also
That
think that
that won't
he's
happen with him, Matt. I saw that in
well, yeah,
process many years ago.
your
He
story from episode 1 does
well,
kind of
He won't come back to it, man. No way. He doesn't have the time. In
No,
his
but
in
yeah,
his mind,
true.
he doesn't have the time. He's got too many boards, man. It's just like,
Yeah,
did you see how good even on the PH he was surfing like in marginal waves immediately? The guy
yeah.
can, like what he said, he can pick it up in in
His
his first pump. It's just freakish.
the computing of his mind is amazing. Like when he I don't think I've heard people say like, oh, because of the way this board felt, I had to hit the lip. Like, so I was only looking for sections to hit rather than carve. Like the way he kind of like worded it and the way he explained it, and then obviously you got the footage to go and watch it and stuff. You're like, yeah, like you pick that up after like two waves. Like
Man,
it's
there is not this. That's why this series is so good, and that's why listeners, we're doing a special series ourselves on this series, is because there's not another surfer like it on the planet that's that good. 11 times world title, number one team rider for the biggest global brand of surfboard at the time when globalization happened with Channel, where it became licensed around the world. And who's had that? He's got his own surfboard brand and who's surfed that many boards, has experimented with that many different trends.
yeah,
There's no one that can match him in surfboard knowledge. It could be like for example, I'm listening to a Bob McTavish, David Lee Scales. If you get Surf Blender, I think it is Bob McTavish, incredible, one of the world's legends, a shaper all this time, and his knowledge is so incredible. And then I'm thinking, and still him, he doesn't have what Kelly had because Kelly just had more access to more boards and more time and more money.
yeah. And I guess the part of it as well that Kelly can test them himself, knowing that realistically it's not him. Like it is, sometimes I get on a board and I'm like, oh, okay, what's not clicking? And I'm like, it's probably me. Kelly doesn't have that problem. Like Kelly's like, it's the board.
Saying that, I wanted to bring that up. That was super interesting that you brought that up, Matt, because and I remember this from experience selling boards to people, and as much as we see people portrayed as thinking that they want boards that are too small for them, too high performance, et cetera, which I have seen as well. A lot of people are incredibly humble when it comes to the game of selecting a surfboard, and a lot of people think that a surfboard or the fins isn't gonna make that much of a difference to their experience. That the onus is more on them. And here, once again, I've been inclined to think, no, we have to show the same amount of like if we put in as much as what he does, we'd surf better. Every now and then, it is okay to blame the board. Obviously, it's not the board's fault per se, but
Yeah,
you can keep going for the better board for yourself, and it's
yeah,
never ending.
yeah, definitely. I was also just thinking then when you was talking about Kelly and Bob McTavish and the feedback and how quickly Kelly is to feed it back and how well he puts his point across. So I'm not sure if you know, I'm pretty sure I sent it to you, but Stab have made another Stab in the Dark with Ethan Ewing.
Yeah. I did know that, and I'm assuming it's because this one took so long, and was so small that maybe they just needed a backup.
Yeah, I'm also assuming it's a little bit like they noticed that from September to April is probably going to be the year this year that they might be able to get another elite level surfer to commit to a Stab in the Dark while the WSL's got a bigger break. But what I've also been thinking is, does Ethan have
I'm about to say it too.
does he have the worst problem possible now where
Oh,
he's
yep.
got to follow Kelly? And
Oh, no, I was going to say something different, but I'll let you finish.
I was just gonna say, like he's probably his is obviously all recorded and finished and stuff according to the people I've spoken to and stuff. So it's all done and dusted and set to go. I think in a month or two after Kelly's. And now he might watch Kelly's one and go, oh, like, uh, I just said this board's okay, or this board's like this or that. And Kelly's like breaking down like how he feels about the boards and stuff in such a great way. It'll be interesting.
Well, I don't think Ethan's got a chance in hell of being as articulate and knowledgeable about surfboards as Kelly. I think that'll be beyond the point because he is largely considered the most stylish surfer on the planet at the moment, surfing on a surfboard. My thoughts is, what if he gets on the DH? If DH is in it and it's just a dog for him, that's
Yeah.
impossible. Maybe they didn't pick DH for him.
No, I reckon they would have. He was in mix one and stuff like that. I reckon the DH is in there. I think it'll
I
probably
don't think
be
it wouldn't be a dog though for him because
no,
he
no,
knows.
it'll be the best. It'll be the best board because it's dialed into him. And like we saw in the episode we just watched, him at lowers on a DH is some of the best surfing with a surfboard you've ever connected. So I think like DH is fine. Like he's probably going to come out of this one and then win the next one. And he also like DH for example should and quite rightly would have won the Mick Fanning like stab in the dark if Mick didn't do the right thing and excluding what he knew was a DH.
I
So
don't think they should have the surfer that they picked Shaper for some reason.
I mean, yeah, it's strange, isn't it? Because some of them know and some of them don't know. And
Um, if Felipe surfing, Felipe beat Ethan in the final, but if you had to put Felipe surfing in the final against Ethan surfing against Griff, who would you have put as the winner?
yeah, it's hard to say. You'd like initially I'd say Ethan, but then Felipe is incredible. And surfed incredible in that final and has surfed incredible at lowers and JB and stuff like that. So, I mean, from my personal perspective, I would have picked Ethan, but the judges might have preferred Felipe doing five turns and a big air because Ethan wasn't doing airs. So, really hard to say how it would be judged, but I would have picked Ethan.
Yeah, yeah, so would I. That surfing he did against Griff in that heat, I thought was just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Didn't look like it was humanly possible. Um,
I wanted to ask you a question because of your history and your relationship, I guess, with the guy. Is Belly sending DH a text after this and going, giving him a little bit of sarcastic nudging?
yeah, you probably would think so, or maybe not. Maybe because it seemed so cruel at the end that maybe not. I'd like to imagine asking Belly about this, and he'd be going, "No, I didn't watch it.
Well,
No,
yeah, I was going to say, I bet
didn't
he's
watch
probably
it."
not even watched it, but
And even if he has, he's not going to say he has because he didn't get invited to be there to be a board caddy or something. Huh? But um, but hey, back to Sharp Eye. He did look incredible on that board, and it did seem like that takeoff he was talking about. We talked about this with Russell Bjerke. That's your cheat notes for late takeoffs and everything like that, especially for intermediate plus surfers. Is the quad
mm,
late takeoff, four wheels to grip on when you get to the bottom.
yeah, you just land and go. It's just no messing about, no sliding, no skidding, just lock in and fly.
Who do you think the next episode's going to be?
Well, I think he said it's going to be Lost in CI because
All right,
he says he has
we'll
them
go
lined
in
up and he
order.
goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and it went DH, Sharp Eye, CI, Lost, Damman, Pizel, didn't it? So yeah. So I reckon it'll be Lost and CI, which I'm quite looking forward to, those two going against each other kind of thing, because they're just a little bit knobbish.
He he was a little bit less. arrogant in this episode, Matt Biolis, but
Mm.
it still was hard for him, it looked like.
It's really hard for
Attack.
him to sit there and listen to other people talk about, like when they were talking about John, like the connection with boards, and they're talking about like John at Margie's, and they're talking about Ethan at Lowers and stuff. You notice he goes nowhere near it, and when they're all talking about it as a group, he looks bored out of his breath. He's not even paying attention.
No, it's all about. But like the same thing happened for him with Kaloe because he was a well-known shaper. Kalohe. I know he had water on his boards, didn't he, and stuff like that. But it was a
He's had
different
a bigger
out.
team. He's had the bigger team. Like he had the lost tapes and stuff, and like obviously like when those guys all jumped on the round those fish that first time, and they put that edit out, the 5.5, 19 and a quarter edit. It wasn't just one individual, it was a group, and it absolutely blew up. So he's been there, but it's not just been on that. He's had it blow up, but not on the super performance level. He's had it more of a like a maybe like a cultural level.
He also lives in one of the ideal spots in the world with trestles close
Yeah.
by. I mean, a lot of other shapers there have got the same advantage he has, and they're not where he is either. So you can't say he got there just because of that. But commercially, it certainly helps.
Yeah. And I bet you if you go to Lowers and those places, every like one, I reckon like 7 or 8 out of 10 boards are is a lost.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Hey,
And
so
fair enough.
2 episodes to go. We've narrowed it down -1. Who are you calling for a winner?
I can't remember what I said in the first episode. I might have said DH. Um,
I might have said Violas.
yeah. Well, I don't think it's going to be Sharp Eye, and I definitely don't think it's going to be DH. Um, I think I might have said Pizel in the first episode, and I'm going to stick. I reckon Pizel,
That'd be interesting.
but
I reckon it. I now just got a strange feeling that it could be CI.
could be, or it
Who
could be
knows?
like they didn't. We've just found out that Matt Biolis has put in that um, Brazilian Hexel blank, so it's in between PU and EPS, and we know that. Well, does Kelly surf EPS on Firewires, or are they painted up? Who knows? But that's another interesting factor. He might swing it with that.
Okay, Matty. Kukul Core to finish off, completely off the beaten path, but I really want to get this one.
Gonna run out of
People,
time.
people making Instagram posts in a bathrobe. Kukul Core.
Depends who it is, but it's pretty. I mean, it depends what it's about, but it's not ideal. Maybe just get
I
dressed.
mean, you just happen to walk out of walk out of the shower, put your bathrobe on, and someone's there with a camera, and you think, oh heck, I'll do a quick reel, before I get my gear on. Anyway, I'm calling it kook as well.